This week's episode brought to you by virtualtournaments.com.
Live in your world, bowl in ours.
Alright. Hello, welcome to Dart Bowling episode number 21 on twitter.com/JohnComkin/Tony Rucco.
And I'm Brian Hallstrom. Ooh. /B Hallstrom. Talk Bowling is proud to bring you Talk Bowling is proud to bring you the latest information from the bowling industry, bowling tips, and updates on the largest bowling internet website, bowlingballcom.
Alright, you ready? Yes. Okay. We decided, well, over the next few episodes, we're going to talk about the different name patterns. We've had a lot of questions.
You want to see a list of them?
No.
Okay.
I can look this way and see.
Gotcha.
This week we're going to talk about Chameleon. Then we'll go Cheetah, Dick Weber, Earl Anthony, Scorpion, Shark, Viper, and then a whole list of others. We'll get
Not necessarily in that order.
Yeah, not necessarily. And there are also 4 major championship patterns, which we'll talk about.
Right.
Ooh, nice.
Good stuff.
So today we'll talk about Chameleon. It's a 40-foot pattern.
Right.
Typically tends to beat people up. It looks like it's kind of a lower scoring pattern overall.
Not too high.
They say it resembles a retro approach to pattern design, requires the player to play a specific zone on the lane, compared to where some of the patterns that a lot of us see probably in league, we can play all different. You can see a guy playing waiting, a guy playing out by the gutter. So this one requires you to kind of get into a slot and stay there. Scoring pace does tend to range from low to medium, is what the PBA says.
So how exactly would the average bowler go about bowling on this shot?
Well,
want to score well.
From what we can tell, straighter players are going to want to play further out or more in the track area and keep it kind of straight.
Yeah.
They tend to use stronger balls. I think we were talking about this earlier. Norm Duke won earlier in the year on this pattern using a high road that was drilled fairly aggressively.
Yeah.
We saw Mike Machuga win, and he used a whole bunch of different balls that were drilled aggressively and fairly aggressive balls, but he was playing them kind of straight. I don't know if anyone remembers that show or not.
Yeah.
Michelle Feldman won on this pattern on the women's series, and she's of course probably the only power player that's won outside of Rhino Page. He may be considered a power player.
Yeah,
I guess by today's standards. Tweener players are going to want to play in a little bit further, but they're going to end up migrating in further as the day goes on. So
right.
Let's talk about some terms that we're using. We're talking about out, in, you often hear deep. What would you classify these as? Or how would you define playing in, playing out, playing deep?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, especially on this type of pattern, we're talking about playing outside. This outside is going to be to the extreme outside. We're talking about maybe going up the first arrow.
So you're saying for a right-handed player, playing out is
yes.
bowling to the right side of the lane, a little more straight up.
Right. For a right-handed bowler, you might be out of your comfort zone. It might take some practice playing straighter up the lane, especially outside of this pattern. We're talking about playing up the first arrow, which is the 5 board, and this takes a lot of trust. If you haven't practiced this much, it'll take some practice to get used to, especially having your ball being that close to the gutter. But you're going to want to throw a little bit higher or more aggressive equipment.
Right.
I think they said for the tweener or someone that throws a little more power, to play this well, you might want a medium aggressive ball and drill it stronger, or you can take a high performance ball and maybe drill it a little bit medium.
Yeah, use different cover stocks and different patterns. We do, when we say out, typically we're meaning from first arrow out usually. And like Brian said, it does take a little bit of practice. It's a good drill to practice though. A lot of tournaments you see, there's a good shot out there. There's just not a lot of people who can play there.
Right.
And sometimes it actually gets overlooked. People have to force themselves in further towards the middle part of the lane because they're just not used to playing out there. But if you can do that and practice it, you'll probably end up having your own little area sometimes at tournaments.
Yeah.
So you'll just be by yourself.
Okay, so when we're playing out, we're playing more right. As we're moving in, we're moving left. Is in and deep the same thing, or when you say deep, are you talking extreme?
No, that would be the same thing. If you say you're moving deeper into the oil or deeper into the lane. So that's the same thing as saying in. That all works the same, and that's what happens. A lot of times people aren't used to playing out or from that first arrow out, and they tend to migrate in, and the shot. It does take a little bit of time. I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Tweeners can play in a little bit more in this pattern. I don't know if we've. I guess Machuga may fall under a tweener, but I believe on that show he was playing it straighter. He's one of the guys kind of like Duke that they can go from playing dead straight to hooking the ball more than anyone else on the lane. So
Right.
I think on this show he was playing it straighter and using stronger equipment. I think that's just a smarter bet.
Yep.
People like Walter Ray should really. I'm surprised he's not on here with the year he's having. He should really eat this pattern up. I would think, because he uses stronger equipment and he obviously plays. He can play the one board probably better than anyone in the world.
Better than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get a lot of questions about oil patterns because it's one of the things you can't see on the lane as a beginning bowler. Why does the oil make such a big difference? Just where it's at on the lane, obviously, is going to affect how it slides or moves down the lane.
Mm-hmm.
So why does this pattern differ from any other pattern?
Well, you deal with, I think the most important factors, Brian may know more about this technically, but I think length and volume are your big factors with oil patterns. So where they put it, how far down they put it, how much of it they put, because it changes the amount of friction these balls can get on the lane. So obviously as you go with a longer pattern, you're going to create less and less friction, shorter patterns, but then you can have shorter patterns with heavier volumes, longer patterns with lighter volumes. So it affects the amount of friction the ball is able to get and where you can get that friction. So with a lane condition, we can stop certain bowlers from making cuts. I mean, you can directly affect a bowler's performance. We could make Brian look like a 110 average bowler if we wanted to on certain conditions, and we can make other people look 230, 240. So it's a variable. It is tricky because you can't see it, but they do give you printout. You know, most bigger tournaments, if you go to regionals, things like that, you'll know the pattern you're bowling on, and once you can start to understand volumes and lengths and things like that, and where they're putting the oil, it'll help you determine where to play.
So we're going to show an image in here somewhere. The darker blue it is, it's thicker oil or heavier volumes of oil.
More units of volume.
In that area, which it'll last longer there. It's not going to move as much. It's a lot less friction than it will in the lighter areas, right?
Yes. Yeah. And we may, if we can find something, we may even throw up another graph of maybe a typical house shot, so people can see the difference week to week. We'll put that up against the PBA pattern so you can see it, because you're going to notice it's a lot. House shots are a lot lighter volume. You won't see those dark colors, and you'll see it very even, and it'll taper off very nicely. So you can tend to get that. You get that kind of bounce reaction out of it.
That dull bubble.
Yeah, if we're lucky enough, we can get a video comparison of us on a house shot. Then
over the next few weeks, we'll see if we can work that out. We may be able to do that, so we'll see what we can do with that.
All right.
All right. What else are we going to talk about today? Johnny Petraglia's scoring method, or do you want to break?
Yeah, let's talk about our sponsors.
Yeah.
How about that?
We should have like a little music that goes on right there.
We're still new. We're only at show 21.
Like a little music.
Give us some time. Jeez. Talk about virtual tournaments.
Virtualtournaments.com. Thank you. Talk about virtual.
You'll get that one. Virtualtournaments.com has been a sponsor from not the beginning, but they're our first sponsor. Offers a great service, lots of fun. Check it out. Bowl, real bowlers, real money, real scorers.
Ooh, that could be a good tag. Is that his tagline?
Yeah, no, it's his tagline. Real money, real scorers, real bowlers.
That's right.
Or something like that.
Wow.
But lots of fun. Check it out.
All right, then we got Brookstone.
Brookstone.
Yes, Brookstone is America's #1. How did I get stuck doing bowling?
We don't even know the code for Brookstone.
All right, Brookstone is the #1 retailer of home goods and just lots of fun stuff. Gadgets,
Those awesome air humidifiers or
massage chairs.
purifiers. Well, I don't have a massage chair.
Yeah.
Ionizers.
Something like that.
One of the thing with the blue light. Awesome.
It's one of those stores you go into and you're like, I want that. You want all this stuff.
And we're making it easier for you to get it.
Exactly. Talk Bowling customers get 10% off their order by using code SHOWBOWL during checkout.
Showbowl.
SHOWBOWL. Save numbers.
Wow, I'm glad you had that under control.
Thanks.
All right.
Some restrictions apply. See site for details. I just like saying that. Makes me feel like one of the big players.
I feel like we're in the middle of a car commercial.
Yeah. Let's talk bowling.
Go.
Let me take a Slim Shady.
Alright, sorry I don't have a copy. Do you want to see yourself?
Sure.
Does that make you feel better?
That sucks.